Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I welcome you all to the online class of economics. Children, today I am going to start the next chapter of our book, that is chapter number 10, and the name of our chapter is Government Budget and the Economy. Children, this is the first video of this chapter, and in this video, we are going to learn the concept of government budget. I mean, how the government budget is being presented in our country, and what are the various objectives of the government budget, the structure and the components of the government budget, thereafter budget receipts and budget expenditure, that is revenue receipts and revenue expenditure, and capital receipts and capital expenditure, and at very last we are going to learn the budget deficit. There is again three varieties of budget deficit. The first one is revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, primary deficit, and at very last we are going to learn the concept of balanced and unbalanced budget. So these are the topics we are going to cover up today's class. So let us start with the first topic, that is concept of government budget. So children, in a very basic term, we can say that a budget is derived from a French word budget, which means a leather bag or a wallet. It is a statement of a financial plan of the government. So when we're talking about the definition, a budget is a document containing a preliminary approved plan of public revenues and expenditure. So this is a definition which is given by Rennie Strong, and in general speaking we can say that a government budget is an annual statement showing item wise estimates of receipts and expenditure of a government during a fiscal year. The receipts and expenditure shown in the budget are not the actual figures but only the estimated values for the coming year. So this fiscal year is basically considered as the financial year which starts from 1st April to 31st March. And let us learn some of the important points of government budget. As you all must be knowing, budget is prepared by the government at all the level, that is central government, the state government and the local body prepare its respective annual budget. However, we will restrict our studies only to the budget of central government, and which is known as the union budget. So estimated expenditure and the receipts are planned as per objectives of the government, and in India, budget is presented in the parliament on such a day as the president may direct a convention, or generally it is presented on the last working day of February every year. And once the budget is being prepared, it is very required to be approved first from the parliament, and before it can be implemented. So now, children, let us learn the objectives of the government budget. And children, the government budget is basically a statement of expected receipts and expenditure, and the expected receipts and expected expenditure of the government for the financial year to come, that reveals budgetary policy of the government to achieve the the prime objective of growth and stability. Now, if we're talking the objectives of the government budget, children, here we have a brief description of some principal objectives of the government budget, and the first one is reallocation of resources. So, as you all must be knowing, children, government prepares a budget for fulfilling certain objectives. These objectives are the direct outcome of the government economic, social, and the political policies. And the various objectives are as follows. Now, first one is reallocation of resources. Children, through the budgetary policy, government aims to reallocate resources in accordance with the economic, social priorities of the government. So as you all know, the private enterprise will always desire to allocate the resources to those areas of production where profits are high. However, it is impossible that such areas of production and may not promote social welfare. So, through the budgetary policy, what the government actually aims is the government of our country directs the allocation of resources in a manner such that there is a balance between the goals of profit maximization on the one hand and a social welfare on the another hand. So, production of various goods which are injurious to health, like cigarettes, whiskey, etc., is discouraged through heavy taxations, and on the other hand, the production of social useful goods like wheat or any other rice, pearls, etc. These are the various necessities of human life, and such social useful goods are encouraged through subsidies. So, tax concessions, or you can say the subsidies, are allowed to encourage the investment where the government can give a tax to the producers. For example, the government discourages the production of, you can say, the harmful products by providing a heavy, uh, you can say, the subsidies. So, children, with this reallocation of resources, what we're going to understand here is uh, the government is, the government directs the allocation resources in such a manner so that there is always a balance between the maximization of profit as well as the social welfare. For doing this, the government is imposing heavy taxes on the production of various hazardous commodities for the people, and giving subsidies. I mean, they are giving the financial help to the industries who are producing the most useful goods for the human beings. Now, second is reducing inequalities in the income and wealth. So, children, budget of the government. So, children, as you all know, budget of the government shows it comprehensive exercise on the taxation and the subsidies. The government is using this fiscal instruments of taxations and the subsidies with a view to imposing the to improving the distribution of income and wealth. And in the economy, equitable distribution of income and wealth is a sign of social justice, and which is the principal objective of an welfare, you can say, the state as in India. So, distribution of income and wealth is being improved in the two ways. Now, first is it imposing heavy taxes on riches and giving subsidies to the poor. So, children, the inequalities of the income and wealth can be removed by imposing heavy taxations on the richer sections and giving subsidies to the poor people. And the second point is it by supplying the food gains to the BPL populations at the lower prices. For example, the free distribution or the distribution of LPG connections to the poor people at a very low prices. So, by doing so, the government is doing or the government is reducing the inequalities or inequalities um, between the richer sections and the poor sections by imposing the heavy taxes on the richer sections and giving more subsidies to the people for producing various goods and services. Now, the next one is the economic stability. Children, government budget is used to prevent the business fluctuations of inflation and deflation to achieve the objectives of economic stability. As you all must have studied in the previous chapters, in the previous unit of aggregate demand and aggregate supply, where I have explained you the condition of excess demand and the deficient demand. The excess demand is what? It is a situation where the aggregate demand is more than the aggregate supply at full level of employment in an economy. So if it is an excess demand prevailing in a country, then this is the condition of inflationary gap, the inflationary situations where the prices of the commodity increases high, and if there is a deficient demand, it shows that the aggregate demand falls short of aggregate supply, and it definitely gives rise to the deflationary gap. So this is basically the situations which obviously prevails in an economy, and which can be controlled by by the economic stability, and where during the inflation, you can say aggregate demand, as I just said, is high than the aggregate expenditure. So the government is controlling this ever increasing excess demand by using the four various tools. The first one is the quantitative instruments. The first one is a fiscal policy. The second is the monetary policy, in which the quantitative and the qualitative instruments has been used to control this increasing or decreasing demand in an economy. And thereafter is the open tools and the other measures also in controlling the money supply. So children, just because of the government budget, um, whatever the situations of excess demand and deficient demand that prevails in an economy can be controlled by the government budget itself. So, with this explanation, we have understood that there are basically this three varieties of objectives of government budget. The first one is reallocation of resources, in which the government is directly producing various goods and services, and that sorry the government is directly producing the goods and services, and the concessions and the subsidies has been allowed. And the second objective is reducing the inequalities of income and wealth, where the government is imposing heavy taxes on the richer sections and giving more subsidies for the producers or for the firm for producing the most useful goods for the poor sections. And the third is economic stability in the sense that economic the stability can be created in an economy, and to avoid the situation or the condition of excess demand and deficient demand. And the next one is economic growth. So children, economic growth, you can say the GDP growth. GDP growth is basically the central or the most important objective of the government budgetary policy, and it is achieved in two ways: by making you can say by making public investment expenditure, and by inducing you can say private investment expenditure through tax rebates and subsidies. And next one is reducing regional disparities. So, children, the budgetary policy places the priority on the development of the backward regions in a country mostly, and this is achieved through the liberal tax laws for the backward regions, and establishment of Cs, that is special economic zones in the backward regions, through the liberal tax laws, can may be cited as an example. So what I'm going to explain you, children, the regional growth can again can be balanced through providing the tax rebates in the in rural sections, where more and more industries or the factories are being welcomed to plant or to start their business units, their production units in the rural areas, so that the rural areas can also be have joined with the urban areas, and the various industries are getting the liberal tax rebates or the tax concessions or the specific economic zones will be provided, so that in the backward regions we again have an objective of the government budget. So, children, that's all for today's video. And in this today's video, we have learned first the concept of budget, from where the budget has been introduced. Thereafter, the definition of the government budget. Thereafter, we have learned the various objectives of the government budget. We have learned first the reallocation of resources. Second is reducing inequalities in income and wealth. Third is the economic stability. Fourth is the economic growth. Fifth one is reducing regional disabilities. And the last one is the management of the public enterprises. So this was the topic what we are going to understand well. So, as I just said, the government budget prepares the budget in fulfilling the certain objectives, and these objectives are the direct outcomes of the government economic, social, and the political policies. So, this topics we have already understood. I hope today's video will get you understand the basic concept of the government budget. Why you have already learned why the government budget is being prepared, and what are the objectives of preparing the government budget, and what are the various components of the budget we are going to learn in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day, and Sai Ram.